All right, we are live, people, for the 37th episode of the
Let's Go podcast. We are back. We are going strong, and we are thrilled to have Sauly, the kid, Esses, on the pod. If you would have asked me a year and a half ago, or what was it, 12 months ago when we first started this, that we would get the Syrian sensation himself, who's dubbed to be the next Babe Ruth in the Syrian world. He is a part of the YMSL. He's now a part of this fantastic, unbelievable, known to be the most competitive softball league in all of softball in Brooklyn Sunday mornings. The kid is attached to every phenom softball team. Sauly, Esses are super happy to have you on. I have a little bit of personal connection with Sauly. I think it was 4 years ago, my first year in the Coil Fall League, which I think very much to Ike, my boy in the Coil League, who ultimately incentivized me to start my own Fall League, which is where we're at right now. So how things come full circle. Sauly and I were actually teammates 4 years ago, on which, crazily enough, Sauly was 15 years old at the time. At the time, Sauly was more of a home run or bust hitter, but as we have now, as he has now evolved, Sauly is known to be, and this is not an understatement. Anyone, you can ask anyone in the Deal community, Lakewood, now in the Five Towns, Sauly is an absolute phenom, and we were thrilled to have him on. Sauly, welcome, and Dave, take it away.
Appreciate it, Avi.
Of course. We actually have some personal, even more personal, which we could get into. But Dave, why don't you first?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I should say anything, or maybe let Sauly respond to maybe the best introduction that we've ever had, the most glowing introduction we've ever had on the podcast. I mean, this would make Steve Pollen blush, So I don't know if Sauly has anything to say.
I hit off him before. I faced him once.
Where'd you face Steve Pollen?
3 years ago. I faced him in Coil.
That's right. I forgot.
He's older. He's a little bit older.
Yes.
Yeah. I faced him once. He's a good pitcher. He throws really hard.
He's a big Five Towns. He actually pitched. He plays in the Fall League, in the higher league, in the Titan League, which we'll get into. If I recall correctly, I actually had a walk-off of Steve Pollen. I think the only game we won solely when we played together 4 years ago. I think we won one game. I think it was against Steve Pollen's team, and I had a walk-off single up the middle, if I remember correctly. It may have been the only game we won.
I couldn't remember, but I do know that in my first at-bat against him, I did hit it over that 50-foot wall in left field.
Steve, I know you watch all the podcasts. How does it feel that a 15-year-old at the time drilled one over the left field coil wall against you? It must be a little humbling, no?
Steve loves developing young talent. It's a big passion of his, so I think he'd be happy, which we should really get into. Sauly, how did you get into playing softball at a competitive level at such a young age?
So I actually never played softball up until that first year that I played with Avi.
What?
I played baseball my whole life. Like hardball, like real hardball. Me and JoJo actually always. We grew up playing baseball. And
Where did you guys grow up?
What do you mean?
What city in the United States or
Brooklyn.
Syria?
Brooklyn. In Brooklyn. No, me and him we and JoJo grew up playing on it's like a travel team. It's called Kings Bay Baseball. And whatever, it's like a league. You play with some not Jewish kids, you bring your own team, whatever it is, and we played on that together, and that's where
Is that the one associated with the center?
No.
Or Mag and David?
No, this is completely different.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I started off there, and then when baseball leagues stopped becoming a thing, there aren't any Syrian baseball leagues, and if there are, they suck. And
wait, why did baseball stop becoming a thing? What do you mean?
There's no baseball leagues in the Syrian world.
Okay, and you gotta
zero.
keep it in,
there just
and you
aren't
gotta
any.
keep it in the. No, but what happened to the travel league that you were on?
It only goes till you're 16 years old.
Got it. Okay.
So I had to leave that, and then I had to start getting into softball. And one of my first teams that I played on was in Coil with Avi. And that's how I got into it young.
Who brought you into Coil?
Harry Chazanoff. I don't know if you know him.
Harry and my stepmother are first cousins. So that's how I got sucked into the team. So the Esqua boys and all those, they're all my cousins, my step cousins from my
I got you.
Side. So that's how I got involved. and I remember correctly, not to throw shade at anybody, but I think other than of course myself, who's a fantastic player, I think
It
there
was a
was.
bad team. It
Oh,
was a
it
bad
was
team.
very brutal. It was a very brutal introduction to Coil, which actually, by the way, really paid off for myself because it incentivized me the following year to bring probably the best team I've ever played with ever in my life together, which we then promptly went on to win the championship, and then the following year get into the championship game but never play it due to circumstances that I won't get into.
I thought
My
there were
team,
circumstances. I thought the circumstances were of your own creating. I'm just
no,
kidding.
it might take me hours to get over talking about how upset my team was, which then resulted in my team being upset at me. Regardless, it was all meant to be because it really first of all got me to know Sauly, which is awesome. Sauly's a great kid, and Sauly's also fantastic for the softball world. So it really full circle. Love it.
So, so Sauly, you play in Coil, and then what's your next Jewish softball league after that?
So it didn't. So it started with Coil. That was my first league. Then there was MSB, which is now called BKS. It was the Sunday morning spring league. The talent used to be really powerful. It was in Brooklyn. And then like in the last 2 years, it like fell off
Is
completely.
that the league that Sam Sutton started?
It's the league that he was running at the time, like 5 years ago. Then he sold it to like I think 2 years ago, and the league just went to hell. Like it was disaster. So I left that league and I joined YMSL.
You know, I'll tell you before you continue, Dave. And again, we're as our most recent podcast came out with the basketball and the whole accusations, and we're having a whatever. We're very into being open and honest here. I have a personal agenda against that now new Brooklyn League. We had one team, part of our spring league, that completely fell apart 2 weeks in because we had 4 or 5
guys. Oh, they were playing on BKS?
Yeah, 4 or 5 guys playing in this Brooklyn League that committed to be regulars for one of our teams in our spring league, and the Brooklyn League wasn't sure if they were going to be happening or not. And 2 weeks into our season, they decided they're happening. So we had like 5 guys on one of our teams in our Titan League, our stronger league, just leave and ditch the team, and they basically forced them to have to mercy their way through the rest of the season. So I personally am very unhappy with them right now. I don't know. I don't blame people in charge. It's probably the players' faults, but that's my experience with that league. I don't know anything more than that.
Okay, so then you play in BKS, and then you go to YMSL. YMSL is the league where if you don't show up, they like cut your legs off or something, Avi?
Correct.
And then what's M&S?
M&S is the night league.
M&S, it's a night league. M&S is a night league. It's my favorite. It's probably like it's one of my. I mean, I played horrible this year, so I don't have the same input that I did if you asked me last year. But last year, I think I hit like 650, and I lost in like I think the semis or whatever. But
where is M&S? What city is it located?
In Deal. It's in Deal, New Jersey.
And where's YMSL located?
Also Deal, New Jersey.
But it's a Sunday league.
Yeah. So YMSL is in like I think like end of March till till June, and M&S is like June till like late August, weeknights.
And Sutton runs both of those.
No, Sam Sutton runs only the night league, and then someone named Norman Jamal runs YMSL.
Which one do you like better, YMSL or M&S?
Oh, YMSL. YMSL's, but it's just because the competitiveness is unmatched. It's not. I've never seen anything like it.
I could actually go on the record here and quote Menachem Damascene. Menachem Damascene gives a very good comparison because there's a big I don't know if you're aware, there's a very big inner conflict within the softball world of what's a more talented league, YMSL or the Monday night league that we have here in the 5 towns in the spring and summer. And I think Menachem Damascene had a really, really good overview. I'm not sure if I should repeat it now. I don't know if he'll want me to repeat it on the podcast, but he broke it.
Repeat it, come on.
I think you have to.
Let me get it for you. In the meantime, Sauly, so explain, Sunday morning, you hear people talking about all the time, YMSL. From your perspective, what makes YMSL above and beyond every other softball league?
The intensity is not like, it's not a joke. Like, really, it's not a joke. Like, if you cut, like, okay, for example, to, like, BKS and MSB and whatever, if you go to a game and then on the Saturday night before, you went and you had some drinks and you're hungover, that's like the regular. But if you do that in a YMSL game, you're benched, you're not playing, and you're not coming back the next year. Like it's very serious. And like these guys, those also you're playing with a lot of guys that are like older. Like you're I'm considered older. That like these guys are like diehards and playing in the league for 20 years, you know. And if I did something like that, there was a kid in YMSL that was like playing and he was like not taking it seriously. He was like he was going to sleep 4 a.m. Saturday night and coming to the field at 8, and like you could tell the guy's on the floor sleeping. And they're like, if you're gonna keep on sleeping, if you're not gonna get like enough hours sleep before, we're benching you. It's not happening. And like it's real. Like there's no joke. There's no doubt. Like it's a real, like intense. Like you screw around, you're done. Like very type
Let
like
me
that. And
let me give you the Menachem Diamond scene recap. Menachem, hopefully you're watching this. Menachem just actually recently officially moved to South Florida, so we wish him the best. Although rumor has it
wow.
he'll be back. He'll be back to qualify for the Titan League Fall playoffs. That's the rumors going around. They're playing a doubleheader next week. Rumor has it he'll be back for both those games as a doubleheader to become playoff eligible. So after, I think we had a podcast with Uri Adler and Hank Dweck, which Sauly is very familiar with.
Yes.
Sauly's been playing with those guys for a while. So after that podcast, we discussed a little bit of YMSL versus our Monday night called the West Hempstead League in the same North Woodmere Fields. So Menachem sends me a message. He wrote, "Great podcast. I played in all these leagues, including the Syrian League and Deal. These are the facts, not opinions, so you can make it clear to everyone from my unbiased answer." So he's legit about this. He said, Deal League intensity is second to none. Regarding talent of players, it's not
That's
even...
YMSL. That's referring to YMSL.
Yeah, he's referring to YMSL. So regarding talent of players, it's not even close. The Monday Night League, talking about the West Hempstead League, talent is far greater. To put it into perspective, Adam Offman or Matt Rosenberg, who are known to be like two of the top hitters in our league on Monday night, not our league, our Cones League, but meaning the local Five Towns League, easily hit a quote-unquote mush ball 40 feet over the fence in Fireman's Field and Deal every other game versus their pitchers. It's rare that hitters there can hit over with a gold ball.
Okay, so let me tell you.
Wait, so I want you to retort, but let me finish. You got one more small paragraph left.
Go.
Here, there are many games in the Monday Night League that will have 0 errors. In Deal, there are a couple errors every game. Regarding the batting, in Deal, 7 to 10 are significantly weaker hitters than 7 to 10 on Monday nights in the Five Towns. Pitchers in Deal have a few great and a couple of solid. Pitchers Monday night, there are no breaks. These are the facts.
Okay.
Straight from Menachem.
My response to that is, okay, so the thing.
Now, to be clear, Sauly never played in the Monday night West Hempstead League.
True,
I still want to get your take.
But the chances of someone being able to hit a mush ball over a 365-foot fence is like 0, unless you're Mike Trout. Like, I'm sorry. I've had many positive experiences with Dynasty, and I faced him. I talked to him and played on the same team with him. You know, I love the guy. He's a great guy. But that's just
a knuckleball in that Syrian tournament. In the care tournament.
But I think I went like 6 for 8 against him. He always kills me. He struck me out. I struck out like 4 times, like 4 or 5 times, like in my like softball career, and like one of them is against him, so he has that on me. But not the point. The point is, I've never seen anyone remotely come close like to that fence with a mush ball. It's a mush ball. It's 365 feet away, that fence. I really don't think, no matter how talented these guys are, I just don't think that that's realistic, because with a gold ball, guys don't hit it over. You know?
Right.
I think he's over exaggerating how far. Like, I think he doesn't realize how far that fence is.
Yeah. So let's bring things back to our area. So Sauly's on my team, Syrian Sensations plus DG, ABA Illuminate. It's been a great time so far, I think. I've been on a lot of teams with great chemistry. This is definitely up there. You and Zamek and Jojo and Ike and all these guys, Papa Cass. It's been a great. We have a very, very active chat. What's your experience been like so far at HSL?
No complaints. Only positive. Sorry. There are like 2 complaints, but like that's it. But like I love the team. I love the league. You gotta fix the lights. You gotta fix the start and end time. That's all I'll say. Everything else is perfect.
What about the lights?
He wants the lights on earlier.
No, I can't have a game end. Listen, My take is
yes.
if guys are gonna pay for two softball games, and especially us Brooklyn guys that are driving, I don't know how about anyone else. I just know from our guys, we're driving 45 minutes to an hour to get to the games, and we're only playing 6 innings. Is not like it's not okay. Like you pay money for a
Dave,
game.
Dave, I gave a call into the office and they said that it's not so.
How have you found the level of competition so far?
I like it. It fits the league, If listen, like I know Avi's been telling me you got to play in tight league, you got to play in the tight league. I want to. I don't know how I will, but like I definitely do gotta play in that tight league because, like I said, I like the talent's good in this league. For this league, it's very fitting. Like I love it.
Sauly was nervous he'd be walking into a joke of a league, and
Yeah.
I think he's happy that it's competitive.
Exactly. Now I was nervous that every
I can't
every
hear
ground
you
ball.
for some reason.
I was nervous that every ground ball. You hear me? Good.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I was nervous that.
Continue, Sauly.
Okay.
I can hear you. I can't hear Avi for some reason, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was worried that I was going to come into the league and every ground ball, a short third, is going to be another error after another error after another error. That's what I was nervous about. And then we were going to get killed like 7-0 each game, like 10-0 mercied, whatever it was, and I'm driving that far for no reason. So like I was worried, but I'm complete opposite of that has happened, and I can't complain.
Nice. So Sauly, something I wanted to ask you about yourself. I've only asked this of one other guy, only one other player we've had on the podcast, a guy named Daniel Ash. I don't know if you know who he is. Very talented pitcher.
Okay.
Sauly's got some kind of it factor that draws people to him, I think, has been my experience so far. People want to hang out with you. People want you to play on their team, not just because of talent. There's some kind of magnetic, I don't know, something you have that people are interested in. Have you noticed that?
I mean, I hope so. I don't know if necessarily that I mean, listen, I think people like playing with people that are going to really give it like what they got, like really treat it as if it means something to them. I think that's definitely attractive to other players in softball wise. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say I agree with you. I hope.
So what is it? What do you think it is? You think you give it your all?
Softball wise, yeah, for sure.
Well, I've got a bone to pick with you as somebody who plays on your team. Sauly, so our viewers know, Sauly has incredible range in the outfield. And they call him the kid, like Willie Mays. But he'll never let us play 4 across, even against the most powerful hitters on the other team. He's stranding Jojo Levy, somewhere in no man's land between second base and center field. And I think, as talented as Sauly is, I think Jojo plus Sauly is a more potent combination than Sauly plus nobody.
Okay, so I disagree because Jojo's not an outfielder. And Jojo, I mean, as we saw in our last game, Jojo's not an outfielder. It kind of it costed. Listen, I have an excuse because I told him I didn't want to play the field because I was in pain and I couldn't really throw. So I did make an error, a bad error that kind of also costed the game. But he definitely, like, a routine fly ball needs to be caught. And listen, I don't blame him at all. Jojo is like I wouldn't put him in center field if he's gonna play the outfield. I put him in left or right. He's an amazing player, amazing. But
so what if we put Zamek? So what if we put Zamek in right center?
No, it just
center,
and
Jojo in right field.
It has all to do with this. When it comes down to 4 across, from the talent that I've seen in the league, necessarily, especially with our pitcher, Adelzen's awesome. He doesn't really produce that. Like, not many guys are hitting the ball. Like, no one's hitting bombs to the gaps that nobody can, that I can't get to. That's why it happened to be that only one player has split the gap, and he split the gap twice. Good hitting, So 2 out of, 200 at bats so far have split the gap, and because of that, I'm going to play 4 across. Why not? You know how many plays have been up the middle plays that we could have turned 2, plays that we have turned 2 on, that's why.
Dave, do you hear me now, Dave, by the way?
Yeah.
So just to also, again, be clear a little bit, in the Lakewood 5 Towns community, playing 5 in the infield is extremely common. Now, a big reason why that's true is because they use the gold ball. So a ball that's hit hard and down is going to squirt through a hole a lot easier than with the mush ball. But it's like you will very rarely find in, let's say, for example, I hate to say the word, but the LBA or the YMSL, you'll a lot more times than not find 5 guys in the infield and 3 guys in the outfield, and then having a guy roaming around or 4 in the outfield. It's a very common thing that's very commonly done. So it's not unheard of. Like it's a very kind. Happens to be in the 5 towns in our world. It's not, but in the Jersey side of things, it is done a lot.
So, Saul, you're not even saying it's about how awesome your range is. You're saying that it's about
it has nothing to do with my skill.
It's a percentage thing.
Has nothing to do with my skill. You could, if you have I don't know, anyone in the outfield, it has nothing to do with.
If you have David Gottlieb in center field.
If you
answer carefully.
We're
Sauly.
definitely playing 3. We're definitely playing 3. But if you had Mike Trout in center field, I'd still tell you that you should never go. I mean, I'm sorry. If I had you in center field, I'd still say, okay, I'm not going 4 because it doesn't make any sense. It's a percentage thing, nothing to do with skill. That's why.
Got it. So YMSL, MNS. Now it's your first experience in HSL, correct?
Yeah.
So the question is, how do we recruit you for the Spring Sunday HSL League?
That's
Sunday? Sunday morning? No, it's just not gonna happen.
That's like asking a observant Jew to stop observing Judaism with the YMSL. Dave, that's if they're
so wait, but YMSL starts what? You're in deal in March already?
No, I drive to Jersey for the games.
And when does YMSL start?
9 a.m. I drive 7:45.
No. What month of the year?
March.
Oh, really?
Or April.
Okay,
Early April, late March.
So you drive to deal for the games. Probably not such a bad trip.
No, it's an hour. In the morning, it's nice.
It's an hour.
It's easy.
Jojo, what do you do? You have a business, you said?
Jojo.
Sorry.
Who's Jojo?
I'm already looking at I have my 5 questions coming. I'm
all
prepping
right.
them.
All good.
Sauly, what do you do with your days?
I'm working right now. I stepped out. I'm working. I work at a wholesale company. I sell iPhones.
At what
Dropped
company?
out of college.
College dropout. Where were you in college?
I was in Brooklyn. I dropped out after the October 7th attacks because then they started rioting and this and that at Brooklyn College, and I just didn't want to stay for that. And I already had a job that I was able to take, so I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna start working instead, make some money.
And what's the job selling? Say what the job was again.
I'm a wholesaler of I wholesale cell phones.
So you're wholesale like the rest of our Syrian brethren.
Very much.
Dave, now I know.
Right.
Now I know what produced the nice looking car Sauly's sitting in right now.
Maybe you can take us on a tour of it. The M6 Comp. What's it called?
It's an M8 comp.
What does it mean? What does comp mean?
It's it's just faster.
All right. Let me know when you're ready for our questions.
Hit me.
Okay. Now here's the thing. I made one adaptation to this game. You don't give any explanation after. We're just gonna move directly into the next question. Okay?
Hit me.
Okay. HSL or MNS?
MNS.
HSL or YMSL?
YMSL.
Gold ball or mush ball?
Oh, gold ball. Change HSL to gold ball, and we'll come back to that MNS question. And the lights. And the games times and whatever.
Who do you want hitting in a big spot? Sauly Esses or Jojo Levy?
Me. I saw JoJo's answer, I have the same answer.
Who's a better fielder, Ike or Jojo?
In the infield or the outfield?
Infield.
Ike.
Outfield.
Shoot, I don't know. Ike.
Who's got more games, Shlomo Zamek or Jojo Levy?
If I had to say,
Got an answer.
okay, I'm giving it to JoJo.
Who's got more games, Shlomo Zamek or Sauly Esses?
Oh, definitely me. No
All right,
question.
Last question. Ilana or Michali?
Oh my God! You're dangerous. Wow.
I didn't get an answer.
Listen. First I'll say I hope they're both safe in Israel. And I'm sure JoJo will be praying for them both. If I had to give an answer, I'd definitely say Alana.
Okay, last question. I forgot. We had one last question.
Sure.
Who do you want in the batter's box? Uri Adler or Hank Dweck?
Oh. Okay, what's the
Good answer.
situation? What's the situation?
Bases loaded, bottom of the 7th, down by 2, championship on the line.
You can't rush me because I actually have to think about it. It's a good question.
Well, the one you got.
I don't know.
Answer.
With your head, you got to win the game. Who you putting in the box?
Okay, I gotta say Hank.
That's the answer. That's the answer I was hoping for. I will hopefully be seeing Uri Adler 9:30 tonight. As long as he doesn't bail last second, I will be letting him know Sauly Esses picked Hank Dweck over Uri Adler in a big spot.
You know, it's such a tough question though, because I was very close picking Uri only because I feel like Hank like for example, like I feel like Hank does feel pressured a lot, and when he gets pressured, he overswings and he'll swing at bad pitching. But I still have to give him the edge because he is such a good hitter, like really such a good hitter.
I got one other tough question for you. This isn't a multiple choice. This is like a ESPN inside the whatever.
Yeah.
I think when we interviewed, I think it was Casson. He said, who brought you to the team? JoJo did or Casson did?
I don't remember who brought me to the team. I think
the line that was said was somebody said, "Oh, they're worried Sauly's going to try to take over the team as captain," or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What about it?
Tell me more about that. Are you a power hungry monopolist?
No, I'm not power hungry at all. But I also, for example, like the 4 across thing, right? The whole thing with 4 across. I simply think that these guys don't. I don't know. I feel like most guys don't understand the reasoning. Also, I never really had a time to sit down and talk to them and be like, "Hey, like this is why I think this." This like I feel like for example, you thought that I wanted it because of like you thought I thought it was a skill thing. It's not a skill thing. I think they also think that I think it's a skill thing, but it's not. So like for example, like I think that they think that I try to take power because they think that I might think I have a huge ego, which I don't think I do. Like for example, I think in a lot of times JoJo is a better player than I am. But like I said, I don't try to take over a team, but I also do think that I have like a better not like I play all the time everywhere I've seen it. I'm under guys that have been playing for 20 years. I think I learned from them a lot, and because I learned from them a lot, I know a lot of the strategy behind what to do, when to do it. So when seems like I might take over a team a little bit, it's more of just I've seen more than they have. I'm playing more often than they are. So I try to like give my opinion, you know, which can come off as like taking over a team, but I do know that it's like a thing that if somebody felt that, I have expressed it to Cass this year. Like, listen, if you feel like I am doing anything that might be over the top, let me know. I don't mean to do it. It's just because I'm trying to win. But I'll stop.
Just to chime in here and defend Sauly a little, not defend, but just to explain a little bit. You know the famous saying, if you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk? So I could tell you firsthand, Sauly definitely walks the walk. So he might talk and he might, have his, they say in the Gemara world, his shitas and his strong opinions, but he definitely backs it up with his gameplay. So it's better that than a guy who comes in, walks in, thinks he owns the place, and bats 200 on the season and can't make a routine fly ball. So at least you have that going for you.
All right, we're just about out of time. Any more thoughts, Avi or Sauly, to share with our viewership?
I have one or two.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Sauly.
go ahead,
Love
Sauly. Go.
Which, by the
Well,
way, we usually at the end of all of our new guests, we usually ask for constructive criticism or any criticism. You came in hot with criticism, but if you'd like to give us some more, we're open to it.
no, it's my only criticism is you gotta figure out like the Fields thing, just because you gotta finish the games, and we can't be rushing to finish the games. They gotta be played out. That's one. But besides that, I don't have any other criticism. The other thing I was gonna say is I think with the I feel like you should, I know it, I'm saying this from like the experience in the other leagues. I know for me, I love highlights, right? I feel like instead of doing it on like your status and like half doing it, half doing it and doing it, you know what I'm saying? You should have for what we have in like the other leagues is like they'll have they'll get somebody to like take videos of like every at bat, and then someone will like edit it and put it on like a YouTube into like a 15-minute YouTube video, you know? Like the highlights from the game.
Just they have that in M&S. I watch it all the time. Sam does a great job with that.
Exactly. And in YMSL, they do it even better. They literally have every single at bat. That's a lot, but I'm not asking for that, you know. But that's just like one thing that I feel like is very.
What will help with that, Dave, is a put a GoPro at the fields or a phone at the fields against the back, and we could. Yeah. Even with my announcing, I could sort of over. I forget what it's called. I'm on social media, whatever it's called.
Voiceover.
You voice over the video as the bats are going. I can sort of repeat what's going on as it's going on. Something that Dave, you mentioned that you're very intrigued into doing, regardless.
Yeah, that's I think people love it. People love watching themselves.
Very appetizing to players.
Benji Ashkenazi at the same point also, but Benji's also been on me about that.
It's a great feature that I'm sure I would love, and I'm sure the rest of the league would love.
How do they do it in YMSL?
In YMSL, they literally have there's 4 games going on at all times. YMSL, they have 4 kids, I don't know, kids, not kids, but I don't know, 15-year-old guys that are they'll go with their phone and they just video every at bat from behind the fence or on the side, just getting video, but close up. It can't be you're in behind center field and trying to take a video. You're not going to see anything, you know? That's how they do it. And then they edit it all and put it into a YouTube video with the voiceover.
So, and what's in the voiceover?
No, it's just play-by-play,
play-by-play of what's going on.
1-2 count, pitch, I don't know, whatever it is,
right,
you know?
Got it.
You should know before we go, I'd never, ever have broken a bone in my body. 23 years. And I may or may not decide to attach the video when we release this podcast. My first year.
Oh, you got it. I have the video.
My second year in Coil, I hit Sauly with a nice little fastball on the inside part of the plate. The guy lined a rocket right back up the middle, and he absolutely destroyed my finger. Destroyed it. Rocked it into pieces. I had never been in so much pain in my life. I then went to the bench, and my brother-in-law was on my team at the time. This is 2 years ago, my second to last year in Coil. They passed out on the bench. I ended up going to the hospital, the whole disaster. I was good 5 weeks later. I recovered, of course, won the championship. But Sauly Esses will forever go down as the only person in my lifetime to ever break or crack a bone in my body. I thought I was Mr. Invincible until I met Sauly Esses. I don't think it's out there.
Oh, that's great.
Amazing. Sauly, what else did you want to share with us?
I think that's it. I think that would be it from me. That would definitely be it from me.
Love it.
I gotta get a game in the Titan League.
Yeah.
I gotta get a game. Obviously trying to get me to sub one of these games.
The schedule worked out poorly. Tonight you have a doubleheader in North Woodmere. We have a game in Bay Park. And then next week we actually have a doubleheader which you actually play for us, but you need to get 3 games to qualify. So even if you were to play both games for us next week, it's only 2. So unless you ditch your team's second game and come play for us in Bay Park at 9:30, then you're not gonna be able to get into the playoffs for us.
I can't ditch the boys. I can't ditch them. You know.
I tried. I tried. I tried to bring a Sauly for tonight. I tried. I have this coming in from Lakewood.
I have to add this actually. I have a game in Coil tonight that is being skipped to play in HSL.
Wow.
A doubleheader that is being skipped to play in HSL tonight.
Dave.
How come?
How come? I simply enjoy this league 1,000 times more.
All right. At least we're ahead of one league, Dave, right? You should have asked him. You should have asked him. And a more appropriate question, being that the root of me starting this league was the unfortunate circumstances that I dealt with in Coil versus HSL. Then we might have gotten. I'll ask it. Sauly Esses. One of your 5 questions. You have to answer instinctively. Coil in Brooklyn or the HSL?
Coil. Nah, I'm kidding. HSL.
Yes.
HSL by a landslide. Oh my God.
Let's end it on that note. That's a great note to end it on.
I hate
All right,
Coils.
guys. Sauly, thanks so much for coming on. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
See you
a couple
tonight.
of dubs and get into the playoffs. Yeah, that's what
I'll
I
see
mean.
You guys game 1, and then I got to make my way to Bay Park for my own game.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Thank you.
Sauly, I stopped recording. I was doing that again? That thing where it keeps
we're still recording.
All right, just leave your phone open for a couple. All right, we are here with the famous Zalman Ziance Pollock, no stranger to the HSL Let's Go podcast. Ernie Pollock. With Mordecai Shapiro, part of the league now. Zalman's been knocked down a peg, unfortunately, or maybe not actually. And we also have with us for the first time Sholom Prager. Welcome to the podcast to the both of you.
All right, it's great to be here, guys.
Thank you very much. I didn't listen. I know that I had to make some time. I may not be an attorney. I may only have a degree worthy of a small degree, but accounting. But I still took some time out of my day to come onto this podcast. I know that attorneys generally have a harder schedule. They have to get back earlier.
Is Sholom an attorney? What's the joke here?
Sholom's an attorney, and the reason why that other guy had to leave the game so early was because he said he's an attorney. So he did have 30 minutes to come on a podcast in the middle of the day. I told my whole office that I'm on a work call. Listen, I may not have gotten a degree from CTC, which happens to be our team name. CTC does some great work. I did only I went to Landers College for Knowledge, like most Yidden in the Queens, Brooklyn area.
Me as well.
But listen, CTC, I heard they do good stuff. I probably should have just gotten a degree from there.
CTC is amazing, and they're just starting to blow it open right now in the 5 towns. They have a couple of events they just did there, and they're trying to spread to the New York 5 town side of things. So go check out CTC. Go on their website. They're good people. Gav Rosenbluth, Mrs. Rosenbluth, Rabbi Rosenbluth, all phenomenal people.
Yeah, they're amazing. I wanted to start before we get into it. This is all in good fun. So that was a clear joke, especially after the events that happened today in Eretz Yisrael. We're one nation. We're a bunch of Jews. Everything. This is all in just good fun. But I'm happy to get into what happened. And Sholom is our. I don't know if he sent me a screenshot of a legal pad that he had with all of his arguments on it. Yeah. I had a tissue that I wrote some stuff on. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to make that disclaimer. This is all totally in good fun.
So before we get into the controversies in Zalman, that's a great point. Considering everything going on in the world, it's important to keep focused on what's important. First of all, we have had a lawyer on here before who came with Exhibit A and Exhibit B, which we were able to put up on the screen. Glenn Zuckerman. Yeah. So Sholom, we're welcome to that. Next time, send the exhibits.
Next time I got to send you the exhibits. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm getting introduced to this crew. I sort of knew Tuvia Blisco for a long time. Then he came on the podcast and we had Zalman on the podcast, Tuvia's old BFF. We learned some things about the Bliskin Wall and his other nicknames, and going back to Dor Golding and Sholom. Where do you fit into the Blisco Pollock clique that I've been trying to get into so far unsuccessfully?
All right, so where do I fit in? So me and Tuvia grew up basically around the corner from each other. I'm a little younger than him. He's probably 4 or 5 years older than me, but we grew up around the corner. Zalman sort of actually was an old friend of Tuvia, but a new friend of mine who came in when he came to Or Chaim. I was in, I want to say 12th grade, something like that. And then just the ball just really started afterwards. Started with basketball, led to softball, and then I unretired both him and Tuvia and brought them back to football. And that's where the trio kept expanding a little bit into other sports.
You're leaving something out.
What did I do that? Oh, and also Zalman. Yeah, well, that's not the important part. the more important part is sports, obviously. Zalman did actually make my shut up with my wife. That's what he was alluding to. So yes. But again, not the important stuff. The important stuff is the sports.
To recap, to recap, marriage not important, sports important. Okay.
What a start!
My wife
What
knows
a
the
start
pecking
to
order.
podcast.
My wife knows the pecking order.
Your wife knows the pecking order. So let's get right into it. We had a podcast yesterday with Dylan Kaufman and Harrison Feldman of the Vly Vipers. They gave their side of the story of the controversies from Monday night. And, like in politics, networks need to give equal airtime. Here are Zalman and Sholom to give us their side of the story.
All right, and we're not going to mute anyone's mics, like the at the debates or anything.
No muted mics. There'll be zero.
No muted
zero.
mics.
We're all
All right,
we're all unburdened by what happened.
Exactly. So I guess to start from the beginning. So obviously, I understand. Games go overtime, and we have to,
And
sort of make
overboard,
adjustments on the fly. Overboard also, make adjustments on the fly in terms of trying to squeeze a 32-minute game into 35 minutes. And that's tough. And I get that. So, and Avi, I think you are doing a great job in terms of the league. I mean, I played in other basketball leagues before, and obviously softball leagues and things like that. And it's very well run and everything like that. So, hats off to you for
Thank you.
the hustle and everything.
Thank you.
In terms of the rushing of the game, I think that's where the problem kind of started in the first place, because I think the refs sort of didn't know what to do in terms of they were so focused on how can we speed through this game, and I think that also then led to the missed calls. It led to the end of the game where there was 6 men on the court on the buzzer beater 3. They had 6 guys on the court, which was another issue. And I think they were so focused on trying to how can we push this game to finish as quickly as possible that sort of led to sort of the downfall of what ended up happening to start. I think at least that's how I saw it. From my perspective. I think the refs are doing a great job overall. I wouldn't, everyone's going to miss a call. That's not going to. That's basketball. That's how many times in softball has Dom called a strike on a ball or a ball on a strike? And come on, it happens. Football also, it's the same thing. Guys safe, guys out, whatever. So it definitely happens. Missed calls happen. It's part of the game. It's part of sports in general. If you have nothing to fight about if it wasn't for refs and umps and everything like that. So. But with that being said, there were some blatant calls that were missed, and I think part of it was just because we were trying to push the game as much as possible to try to finish in that sort of deadline.
Right. I think I want to just piggyback a little bit on that. Jeremy brought up a great point. I don't want to say his name without his permission, but I'm going to say it anyway. But he brought up a great point that at the end of the game, when he was talking it over, he said the refs were so focused on rushing the game that they weren't paying attention to the game, meaning that they just completely discounted everything that was going on. In terms of the refs doing a great job, I'll agree that refs have a very hard job, and I think that some refs are more approachable than others. I find Ellie very approachable, and you can generally talk to him. But I think that one thing should maybe be given as something to the refs just to know is it's a basketball league. We don't need to make every ticky tack call. We could let it play through a little bit, and understanding that unless you blatantly see a guy step out of bounds, that court is so small on the side, on the boundaries over there, that if you try to set your feet, you're either not taking a 3 or you're stepping out of bounds.
That's a very good point, by the way. It's a point that I was thinking about discussing. So you guys are gonna continue. We're gonna give you guys all the airtime you guys need. Just quickly to inject 2 things. Firstly, I did post in the captain's chat. I don't know if it was forwarded to all the teams, but I did speak to the gym manager today. So hopefully the time issue, again, granted, it was an issue. We could talk more about it, but going forward, hopefully that shouldn't be a problem when it comes to rushing games. But I agree. I think in terms of this, Dave, what they're talking, I know you never saw the gym, Dave. The length of the court is pretty solid. It's the width in the corner threes. It's very, very small. So to set and hit a 3, you have to be your feet's got to be perfect in order to have a 3-inch space between the back of your heel and the out of bounds line. So unless like you're actually right there and you see it's clear out of bounds, I would agree to be more flexible on the 50-50 calls if it's out of bounds or on the corner.
Yeah, and then I think that's kind of where it came in. Sholom really came prepared. He's got notes, so I'm gonna let it continue. But I wanted to just talk about that. We do appreciate the refs. The refs do have a very tough job. Just the whistle shouldn't be in your mouth and blowing just haphazardly. It's got to be a real call, especially from the other side of the court.
Which play was it on? Do you want to fill us in? It sounds like there was a bit of
Multiple.
refing.
Multiple.
So you
Multiple.
have one ref calling for not his side of the court.
Yeah, multiple
Yes.
calls, and that severely impacted the game.
And
Like
how
the
does
ball-
that work? Does that mean he's overruling the other ref? How does it
Yeah.
work in back?
Yeah, I won't.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to say names, but like one of the refs after was like, "You got to let me make that call. I'm standing under the rim." Like it was on a free throw, and our player missed a free throw, but it would have knocked off the rest of the time on the clock, and instead he called it. The other one from the other side of the court called it completely out of bounds and gave them an advance to the scorer's table.
I will say, I think there's a little, and I brought up on last podcast, I think there's a little bit of, I don't think jealousy is the right word, but it happened multiple times where one ref would call over on the other side of the court, and the other ref called like 2 or 3 in a row back on his side of the court. So I don't know if there's a little bit like of, like you called something on my side, so I'm going to call something on your side, or if it just happened to be random, but I will agree that the last...
Sounds right.
I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
Refs did a very hard job. The last few minutes of that game was not the best officiated.
Not their finest moments.
Correct.
Not the best representation of their referees. Again, listen. I just think as a ref, live with the whistle out of your mouth a lot more than you live with it in your mouth. I think that's, just let's.
Zalman's a product of '90s NBA basketball, not Steph Curry.
By the way,
NBA
100%. It's like the number one reason why I can barely watch the NBA these days.
Right.
But anyway, okay.
Avi, I know it's in here too about the NBA.
That's true.
I grew up a Knicks fan before they stunk for 25 years. Sholom, so take it away.
So, by the way, just in terms of the rushing of the game, I mean, obviously we get that we had to be off the court at a certain time, but like what Zalman was saying, also, it was like every inbounds pass was like, how quickly can you get it to the guy so he can just throw it inbounds and continue to play? Like if you just had the clock running the whole time, I think that would have been a lot better. I think the refs were just trying very hard to like, okay, let's get these free throws done with and get to the next play. Let's get stuff like that.
Right.
It's not like softball where in between innings you could say, okay, the pitcher has 2 warm up pitches and then we're done. We're starting the next inning already. Basketball's a little bit more fluid, I guess, of a sport. But
and that was, by the way, the phone call I had with Brandon, the gym manager today. I had to explain to him. I'm like, I said, if I recall, you play basketball. He said, yeah. I'm like, guys can't just show up and start a game and just like rush through it.
Yeah.
Like it's first of all, it's a dangerous thing. Like you need to be able to warm up and shoot around and stretch. And like basketball's an up and down sport. You can't run them to 100 to 0. And I think
especially when you're old.
Yeah, he must have understood. I'm saying until now we only had 5 minutes or 10 minutes maybe before the gym, and we had 0 after. And now he's giving us 15 minutes before and 50 minutes after. So
that's not on Brandon. That's on that. That's
on
us.
I love Brandon's never gonna watch this, but it is on Brandon because Brandon knew the product we were bringing to him, and Brandon never told us that the second the timer ends, like there's gonna be a security guard in the gym on my tush saying get out. Like I never in a million years like in all of our softball fields, right? We don't want people on our and there's no one after us. Like we don't want people on our back saying get out. It's not like people waiting to get in. Like they're literally in the gym at 55, 5-minute warning, 10 o'clock, gotta get out. Like it's like really, really like tight.
No, yeah, for sure.
Anyways,
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to you, Sean.
Yeah. So I know one of the allegations that were thrown our way was the bullying allegations, like a Richie Incognito situation going on. And I mean, I think David, you said it yesterday. They're big boys. They step back on the court. They could have waited the 5 minutes to see whether or not we were going to continue playing or not continue playing. I get it. There was a little bit of a shouting match between someone on our team and Avi, but the shouting match was maybe 2.5 minutes long. And then we decided that we were going to play. They all stepped back onto the court at that point.
We hear you. No
I think
problem.
I got disconnected. For a
Yeah,
second.
you're
But
good.
yeah,
You're good.
and that's really there. Okay, and that's really once you step back on the court and you agreed to the rules that we were playing, and it wasn't like it was different rules for us, different rules for them. It was we both agreed to a 2-minute overtime with fouls. I think we said our fouls will continue into the overtime, so every play was going to be a one-on-one anyway. I mean, we all agreed to the same rules. It wasn't if we're going to change the rules and we had different rules for different teams, sure, then you have a you have a real complaint there. But and on that same point, if it was the reverse, I mean, there was a total of 2 points scored in overtime in the 2 minutes. It's not like there was this all of a sudden we went on this crazy run and we won by 50. It was 2 points scored, and I think if it was the other way, I mean, they wouldn't be wanting to have the conversation with us like, oh, should we really call it a tie or whatever, especially after the guy hit a buzzer beater, which was a great shot.
So that's my mistake. That's my mistake. I didn't bring that up, which maybe I should have. And Dave, maybe you should have. I'm obviously more of the man on campus here, so I have to be a little bit more sensitive, Dave. Maybe you should have been a little tougher. Not
well, I know I'm friends with Dylan, so
right. But that's a good question. I mean, the question to ask really, which I might have asked Dylan privately, I honestly don't recall, is that let's say they won the game. Like, what would have happened then with the same, you guys have 2 ways, by the way. You could ask it to Dylan, would he have said a word? But you could ask it also back on Zalman and Sholom, like, would they have made a complaint after
if
that?
We would have lost
through the overtime. 2 minutes. Rules say 3 minutes.
I know just me personally. If we would have lost in overtime, we would have, all right, we agreed to overtime and that's it. I mean, yes, we would have had complaints about the actual gameplay because there were stuff that happened. I mean, I was shoved in the back. We were discussing that before. I was shoved in the back on a play. The ref didn't call it, and I think the guy yesterday.
The only time you got by him.
Yeah,
the only time you got by him.
I do take a little offense to that. The only time I ever made a play in the game. But
Dave, you're missing out on all this good content right here.
But
I feel like I can't keep interrupting.
Sort
of like the Prager, Blisco, Pollock click. I'm just I'm on the outside looking in. Trying to form my own group.
You grew up in Queens. We let it's as long as you grew up in Queens. Zalman sort of grew up in Queens, so we could we kind of let him into the.
You could let me in. You could let me in.
Listen. On that play, Sholom drove by him like he was trying to get to the city. It was amazing.
That part I
got. But yeah, no. I mean, listen, we would have had complaints about the game, that the rushing, the calls, whatever, the 6 men on the court at the end of the game, but we would have lost.
That was rough, by the way.
We would have lost, and that would have been that. So.
Right. Did they even realize that they had 6 men on the court at the end of the game for the buzzer beater 3?
Honestly,
we were guarding somebody who ran off the court.
That's not even something that's stuck in my head for some reason. I guess there was so much yelling after regulation that 6 men on the court thing could be in and out.
But I'd say, and one of their complaints was that we changed the rule of the overtime. It was the fine print it's really 3 minutes, not 2 minutes. We also changed the rule that there's a running clock. We played with that the whole game.
First half.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they should have just, if they wanted to win so badly, they should have just scored more points than us. That would have helped. I mean.
So, what is your response to the bullying accusation that they're big boys, huh?
Jeremy
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Jeremy's a very big bully. Zalman knows this, right? Jeremy Tabak is quite imposing in terms of
imposing.
Yeah,
scary,
imposing, terrifying guy. No, I mean, was there yelling and screaming? I don't think anyone said anything to their team, to be totally honest. I don't think anyone said a word to them. I think there was some yelling between, Avi and Jeremy at that point. But it was given to them as an option, like, hey, we're playing now. Avi, I think you did a good job making the executive decision there. Like, we're going to continue it. Here's the parameters that we're playing within. Let's have a game.
Well, truth be told, and I'll be very honest, I mean, I guess I was very in the moment. So I guess I think I said this on last podcast, could be getting my point across. I will tell you exactly my mindset, and I have no bias here whatsoever. I want to keep both teams happy, so I don't want to say something that's going to make one team very happy, one team very upset, or vice versa. It makes no sense for me or for the league. My mindset through everything was game ending. My initial reaction is no overtime, we're done. This guy is on my back. The gym in general has been on my back about we've been going overtime every single week. I don't want an overtime. So initially I'm like, no overtime. Then I get somebody coming and yelling his brains off at me. And I basically told him, I don't care. There's still no overtime. Then as I'm walking off the court, I hear a few guys from the other team saying, hey, listen, if they really want overtime, I will play. Now, Dylan is saying that it wasn't him. It wasn't any of his regulars. It could be not. I don't know. My head was very fuzzy. But the second I see CTC's captain yelling at me overtime. And then I see a couple guys on the other team, or not see, but I hear them saying, oh yeah, if they really want it, we'll do it. We'll do it. If they want it, we'll do it. We want to play. So then my mind goes, okay, I have both teams now that want to play in overtime. I don't want them both upset at me after. Then my mind goes, how can I make the security guard happy to let us stay? So I go over to him and I hand him $60 cash. And I'm like, here, take the $60, go out for a nice dinner, stay an extra 10 minutes for us. And he first said, nah, it's fine, I don't need it, I'll stay. He took the money and it's fine, done. Then the game happens, and now we're dealing with the situation. So that was my mindset going.
Ooh. I didn't know that there was I didn't know there was a.
There was no overtime. Then again, there was no overtime. I'm walking off the court. I tell Zamek to get out, and then I hear guys in their team saying, "Oh, if they want to play, we'll play." I then think, "How am I appeasing the security guard? I give him the money, and then we start the overtime." That's my perspective.
The truth is, in terms of basketball, anyway, overtime. To let's say we picked it up at a different point, you lose the momentum, you lose the tiredness. It's a different.
Yeah, that's what they were saying on last podcast. That's true.
Right. So you sort of have to just go right into it at that point. But Zaman, you know this in Jubal, right? If someone makes we have a football league that we play in, and if someone makes a call, a penalty, whatever, it's self-ref. If your teammate says, "Hey, you got that totally wrong. That wasn't passing interference. That wasn't, whatever," you go along with, the guy on your team is disagreeing with you, so you take the call back, and then that's it. If they were saying, "Hey, we want to play also," I mean, I'm not sure what the argument then is at that point.
So right. So I think if you would say that to Dylan, I think he would say that it came from a couple of guys in his team that weren't regulars and that didn't have a say in it. But then my question to Dylan is, I didn't hear anybody on their team adamant that they didn't want to play. Like, no one on their team screamed. Like, if Dylan was put it this way, if Dylan would have come over to me and said, Avi, we are not continuing, our two best players left already, you originally said no game, I wouldn't have. Just because a couple other guys were chirping we want to play, I wouldn't have continued. I didn't hear anything from their side that they didn't want to play. I happened to hear guys on their side saying if they want to play overtime, we'll play overtime. So in my mind as a commissioner is I don't want both teams to be yelling at me after why the heck didn't we have overtime. So my mind automatically went to how am I going to make the security guard happy to stay to allow an overtime to happen. In terms of the actual timing, 3 minutes. Granted, I knew we weren't doing 3 minutes, even though that's the rules. But I was just thinking, I don't want to play 3 minutes. And in basketball, 3 minutes could turn into 15 minutes. I was thinking 2 minutes is not 1 minute, but it's also not 3 minutes. So I was thinking of some sort of somewhat adequate time for the overtime to be. So it's not like a.
I mean, to me, it doesn't get any more clear than Sholom said. And, you proposed a compromise. Everybody knew the situation was a little bit dafuk, as they say. And, they agreed, it's, to me, it doesn't get any more clear than that. And now I think it's to your credit, Avi, and also to CTC's credit that they're willing to revisit the situation.
Yeah. And also, I mean, to say, I know one of the things that Avi just mentioned, their two best guys left. And, to say that they would have beaten us had those two guys stayed for that 2 minute overtime. I mean, that's like anything could have happened. It was literally a tie game going into the overtime. So it's not like they were killing us beforehand and all of a sudden two guys left and then we're, done. But
the opposite, we were killing them in the beginning of the game.
Right. It was like 15-2 and then we stopped playing offense for a few minutes. But I mean, once you step back on the court, once you make that decision, I think it's fair game then.
And you heard what I said on the podcast yesterday. I had that in a softball game, which we really need to tighten up. Where look, I was not the captain, I was the acting captain. Rada wasn't there, and I made that decision to play, and then I had to deal with the consequences. We got to wrap up in a couple minutes. Unfortunately, we're a little bit rushed. How are you? So
that sounds familiar.
Zalman's just dropping these zingers today. I love it.
Zalman, we're gonna need a redo. We're gonna need a redo tomorrow.
The Zalman podcast right now is I think he's top 5 in most viewed podcasts so far. So Zalman's coming in hot. He's feeling good about his appearance.
Better than my podcast, Zalman?
Wait.
Prager would like to plug his Playmakers podcast.
You can plug whatever you want.
Prager's got a podcast?
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, we got something brewing. I'm a recurring guest.
Maybe we can collaborate.
TBI.
Maybe we can collaborate in a studio. Wait,
Zalman's going on podcasts left and right. I also saw Zalman on the Gordon Company podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Keep hustling.
Yeah.
I saw it was really good. I didn't finish it yet. I watched it about 3/4. So wait. So
Us
we-
non-CTC educated folk need to keep hustling.
That's right.
Good point.
So you guys have played, unlike our previous HSL basketball guests, you guys have played in other leagues in the area. That's correct. You guys played at Island Garden or at JSL.
Yeah.
Where did you guys play?
We played a couple of games at Island Garden. I was on the team for one season, and I think Prey was also like one season.
How do the experiences compare thus far?
So I'm gonna say this, and this goes back to what Prey was saying before about Avi and the hustle and the fact that Avi is doing a good job as a commissioner. I think one of the things I just want to like defend Jeremy a little bit. He just gets impassioned when he talks. He didn't like mean to yell about it like that, but he just gets a little bit impassioned when he talks. And his main thing was that Avi as a commissioner just really he wanted Avi to just take charge one way or the other. I think. And we would have lived with the consequences. But that being said, this is a league in its infancy, and I think we all understand that. And we're growing. I think it's going very well. I very much enjoyed both games that I played, and I missed one game. It's been very, very enjoyable, and I really hope that this thing grows to be big because I think that we have, I don't want to schlep to Island Garden, and I want it to be that we have this crew of ballers in the Queens, West Hempstead, in the area that we can get together and have like a decent 5 towns and have a decent, have the city as was mentioned.
Can't help yourself. Can't help yourself.
This we have this league, and I think it's going extremely well, and I just hope it continues to grow. There used to be an Ishe League, Prey. I don't know if you remember that. The Ishe League that was
played in it, but
yeah, I think you were much younger at that point. So but it's something that's just so nice to have that we have this in the neighborhood and the communities that we're all like relatively close to, and I think it's going very well.
Yeah, we need you to branch out into football now. That's the next.
So football is a lot of politics for me. A lot of personal politics because if you know Dom football league in 5 town. By the way, a lot of people are telling me football, Dave. It's not just coming from Prager. A lot of people are telling me they want a football league in Queens. Like they want something really bad for
Oh, we can.
By the way, I just want to get. I just want to acknowledge, though, Zalman is talking about the success of the HSL, and people should know Zalman has put in yeoman's work, helping develop the youth programming and also the adult programming. People
Zalman is
a very community-oriented person.
He's a human. He's the male cheerleader for the HSL youth programming.
Who's the female cheerleader?
That's a good question. We really need one. Maybe our girls division. Maybe our girls division would be larger if we get one.
Rena Reichman, no, it's not Rena Reichman.
Oh, that's true. Mrs. Reichman has been phenomenal.
Ooh.
She recruited, I think, 5 girls on her own to come, 5 of her daughter's friends, and also if we're giving shout outs to parents, Koslowitz, Mr. Koslowitz, or I don't know if him or his wife's doing the recruiting. They joined our older girls basketball clinic, and within 24 hours, I got 5 calls from parents saying they want to join. So we do have 2 cheerleaders for the HSL Youth Girls Division. That is,
guys, as I mentioned before, I gotta end a little quickly because I gotta get home, babysit a little.
Dave, before we go,
baseball.
you mentioned Bliscoe, Prager, Pollock. One other thing in common they guys have is that they all very, very swiftly got blown away by Avi Edelman in the HSL Summer League Softball Championship. After allowing 0 earned runs and dominating the Blue Wahoos. 8-2.
I went 3 for 4. I went 3 for 4 on you, and my last one was a bomb. It just left
2
play
RBIs.
on it.
And there were some issues with the hunting, right, Zalman?
I don't know. I just see a trophy on my dresser. That's all.
You don't say no. You win. But I would argue that the refs in that and the umps in that thing also rushed the game. And I think we should just end it in a tie, and we get a trophy too.
By the way, big shout out to Blue Owls. They really helped rejuvenate the HSL Summer League, which is phenomenal. 4 teams to 8 teams, and I would argue 5 of the 8 teams were super competitive all season.
It was good. It was a fun season. Joe is, the best ump of all time. I love that guy.
People love Joe. Joe is awesome.
He's committed to it. He runs down the line for every ball.
I kind of want to see what he would do on a basketball court.
Right, sir.
That's very interesting. Does he? That's actually really interesting. Does he do basketball, Avi?
He doesn't like doing nights when he doesn't have to. It's an issue. He said his family gets upset.
You know who's underratedly a great basketball ref?
Who?
Jared.
Oh, is he really? Dom's guy, Jared?
Jared is Dom's Jared is awesome at basketball.
And he's funny. Pete Wheeler in like human form.
Yeah, Jared is hilarious. He umped one of our games in the.
By the way, not a joke. Pete Wheeler, isn't he also a phenomenal softball player? Jared?
Pete Wheeler is a
Jared,
phenomenal
good pitcher.
backyard baseball player.
That's what I'm saying. So Jared reminds me a lot of Pete Wheeler.
Good call. I see the body shape a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Fellas, we'll see you soon. See Mateva.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
soon, Mateva. Like
Sean,
we
are
said,
you Mets or Yankees? I know Zaman's Yankees.
I'm a Yankees fan.
Oh yeah, so we got a
Big
lot of
Yankees
Yankees fans here.
Yeah,
Sure.
just as we said, just everything's in good fun. I know I made some jokes, but like it's all good. They both seem Dylan and Harrison both seem like really great guys. Would
Yeah,
love to play them.
100%.
Would love to play them again, and see what happens in a non-rushed environment.
Thanks, guys.
For sure.
Appreciate
All
it.
right, guys, take care.
We got the 5 questions. No, I'm
Oh.
just kidding.
Oh, so
I'm kidding. We're good.
It's
Damn.